The Tragedy of Cinema podcast is intended as a family-friendly program that by extension strives to be inclusive to all people regardless of their ethnicity, gender, creed, or any other identifying factors in this incredibly diverse world of ours. With that said, some of the films we discuss may contain serious subject matters or have content considered morally objectionable by today's standards. We do not intend to condone or dismiss these aspects of these films, but our primary focus will be on what we believe the film succeeds at, some fun facts, and our personal enjoyment factors of each film. With that said, we hope you enjoy the show.
Alright guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast, the Alien episode. This is part 2, because there was just so much useless information. No, I'm just kidding.
Because I was gushing for half an hour and I couldn't stop. And then Jimbo was like, well, we gotta do part 2 now.
Yeah, but it's, it's just one of those classic sci-fi shows, or just a classic show that you want to make sure you give out the information that's cool and awesome when there's, especially when we cover some movies that there's not enough stuff, and then you get something that's overbearing. So we figure we just break it out in 2 parts so people can split it up while they drive or work out or whatever. So that at least that we don't have to go through any of the technical stuff. We'll just jump right into the fun facts and trivia that we've divvied up amongst ourselves. So here we go.
All right.
So Kyle, among some of the ingredients of the alien costume are plasticine and Rolls-Royce engine parts. So the alien's actually a transformer.
Exactly. I knew it. That's awesome. Cool.
While he was working on the visual effects for this movie, Bryan Johnson was simultaneously working in the same capacity on Star Wars Empire Strikes Back Episode 5.
Just doing all kinds of
Can you
crazy
imagine those two
stuff.
at the same time?
That sounds like an insane workload, but it doesn't kind of explain it explains the terrific visuals and his talent too. It gives all to come into all the more.
The space jockey prop was 26 feet tall.
The what?
The space jockey.
Oh, the space jockey. Oh, wow. Yeah, the size of that stage must have been huge.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
And the wide shots of the space jockey prop, Sir Ridley Scott used his 2 sons to make the prop seem bigger.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit back and forth here. I've got some stuff on Space Jockey right here. One from Ridley Scott. I always figured the Space Jockey was somehow a pilot, and he's part of a military operation. If that's the word you want to apply to this world. And therefore, this is probably some kind of carrier, a weapon carrier, a biological and biomechanoid carrier of the lethal eggs, says Ridley Scott. And then later he went to further develop that in the film Prometheus, where he actually showed with the characters who essentially would become the jockeys later on.
That's kind of an underrated film, I think.
Especially like the sequel came after Alien Covenant, really both I think they complement each other really well, and Prometheus itself is underappreciated, I agree as well, because there's enough of that film that gets stuff right in a good way, and it's still overall good filmmaking. It's just there's like 1 or 2 scenes that are so kind of like laughably absurd that it kind of kills the whole movie, and especially it's audience representation. Like the internet kind of ruined that film in a lot of ways, where they kept making fun of scenes, and it's like, no, it's actually not it's not a terrible film. It's not a great film either. It's okay. And having the kind of the reception, it either has to be great or the worst thing ever. Kind of like in the binary world that we live in on the internet sometimes. That's unfortunate, but that's neither here nor there. It's not. This is Alien. Yeah. So you can go back from the space jockey note.
For the alien's appearance on the shuttle, the set was built around Bolaji Badejo, giving him an effective hiding place. However, extracting himself from the hiding place proved to be more difficult than anticipated. The alien suit tore several times, and in one instance, the whole tail came off.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough prop to hold, especially maintain.
A sex scene between Dallas and Ripley was scripted to show how casually the crew members would solve long periods of abstinence. Another reference to this was a deleted scene where Ripley inquires with Lambert whether she ever had sex with Ash. Tom Skerritt later said that he discussed the necessity of the scene with director Sir Ridley Scott, thinking that it added nothing to the narrative and only interrupted the flow of the movie. Scott agreed, and the sex scene was ultimately not filmed, but he revived the idea of crew members having casual sex for Prometheus. A scene originally cut but inserted for the director's cut shows Lambert slapping Riley in retaliation for Ripley's refusal to let her, Dallas, and Kane back on the ship. According to Sir Ridley Scott and Veronica Cartwright, every time she went to slap Sigourney Weaver, Sigourney would shy away. After about 3 or 4 takes of this, Scott finally told Cartwright not to hold back, really hit her. Thus, the very real shocked reactions of Weaver, Yaphet Kotto, and Harry Dean Stanton. The dead facehugger that Ash autopsies was made using fresh shellfish, 4 oysters, and a sheep kidney to recreate the internal organs. Filming had to be done quickly because the organic material would go bad very fast under the studio lights.
Oh my
God.
God.
I bet it stunk.
Yeah, could you imagine the smell of that?
Speaking of that, did you ever dissect a frog or anything in school? Worm, sheep?
Yes, we did, but they were all they had soaked in formaldehyde.
Right.
Yeah, so
did you ever do
They had that stench to them, but nothing too bad.
Well, what did you dissect?
We did fish, I believe. We did fish. I don't think we ever did frogs.
I did a frog, dude.
Yeah, I did a fish, and it was really boring.
And my lab partner for that, she listens to the show, which is Leanne Hobbs Abbott. We were in there, and she was grossed out, so I'm over there, and I'm cutting on it, right? And she's like, well, let me do it. And I remember this because it's one of my favorite elementary school memories or junior high memories is I said, okay. So I tossed the thing over to her, the pan with the frog that was pinned down, and she leans in real close, right? And she's like, she's going to do it. And all of a sudden I went, ribbit. And she threw the whole frog against the wall or whatever. I was like, but yeah. So that's just another childhood memory from me. So
I was going back to that scene of Veronica Cartwright slapping Sigourney Weaver in the face to get that genuine reaction like that too. You know, I largely, I think it's still largely I think Ridley Scott and stuff like that kind of filmmaking is probably a bad way to do it because you hurt people in real life, and that's not okay with me. But I do think it makes some amazing scenes sometimes. And I remember I was listening to it just a couple weeks ago. I was watching some videos about The Abyss. And James Cameron did the same thing to Ed Harris in that film. Maybe we'll cover The Abyss sometime in a later podcast. I don't know. But basically, there's a scene where Ed Harris gets into a deep sea diver suit, and they fill it with the highly oxygenated liquid. I forget what they call it. But they really did it to Ed Harris, and it sounds like 30 years later, and he is still fuming about it. Still wants to kill James Cameron for James Cameron. Essentially just drowned him on video for the sake of a film. And it's just that is disgusting.
But what? Great cinematography.
Oh, yeah. The scene's amazing. Of course, the scene's amazing. But it's don't actually do that, you madman.
Oh, man.
Oh,
the decal on the door of the Nostromo is a checkerboard square, the symbol of Purina's pet food label. It's meant to designate alien chow.
If they made the movie now, it'd be a QR code that you would scan. It would take you to the website for the film.
According to a quote from Veronica Cartwright in an Eye magazine, when the alien's tail wrapped around her legs, they were actually Harry Dean Stanton's legs in a shot originally filmed for another scene entirely. The embryonic movement of the facehugger prior to bursting out of its egg was created by Sir Ridley Scott using both of his rubber-gloved hands. So, Kyle, you want to go ahead and take a few?
Yeah, sure. John Hurt recalled how he and Veronica Cartwright were nearly poisoned while filming the exterior shots of the planetoid. At one point during the shooting, tubes broke on their suit, causing some kind of aerosol to leak into their helmets.
Oh, no.
They both nearly struggled from fainting, but were sure it was all very safe. Hurt was less than convinced, and Hurt was right.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. Remember, we did talk about the kids. They put their kids in there.
Yeah, and then the kids passed out as well. Specifically in this case, too, the aerosol leaking into their suits, that's probably even more dangerous at that moment. They're probably nearly actually killed. Ridley Scott recalls how he determined he was about to be casting just right. The studio grew nervous of the production start date approaching, but Scott wasn't ready until he was sure that the Nostromo crew was perfect. The way he sees it, the right casting can solve 50 to 70% of the problems the film might run into. I believe I might have covered these notes before. I might have to check to make sure I have the right notes here. But you keep going. I'll read the next few and just make sure. The room where Brett gets killed by the xenomorph was a point of contention between Ridley Scott and the producers. They didn't understand why there'd be water pouring or chains dangling in the ship as this. Scott, feeling he needed the extra movement in the scene, stuck to his guns and got the chains. And the chains added a lot to the scene. It's the constant movement allows the xenomorph to kind of sway in there where you don't even see them in that first scene.
And I think you said that when the last time we recorded that you could actually, if you looked up, you could actually see him hiding in plain
Yeah, there's
sight.
like one cut of the scene where like he's dead center in the frame, but because everything else in the scene is so dark and swaying along with the xenomorph, you don't even see them until like the next scene afterwards. You know, it's one of the things like only after rewatching it do you realize like, oh snap, the alien's right there. That's insane. Yeah.
The computer screen displaying Nostromo's orbit around the planet contains a hidden credit to Dr. Brian Wyville, one of the programmers for the animation. Within the top frame titled Deorbital Descent, it is possible to isolate the letters blob. But we need to cover the blob on this. This is a great movie.
I never sat down and watched the Blob. I feel bad about it.
You haven't never seen the original Blob?
No, I've never seen the original Blob. Really?
All right, but it's
I know. It's a missing piece of film history again.
The grid-like flooring of the Nostromo was achieved using upturned milk crates painted over. So, in an interview for Metal Hurlant, Sir Ridley Scott revealed that to make the action more realistic, the flight deck was wired so that flipping a switch on at one console would trigger lights somewhere else. The cast then developed work routines for themselves where one would trip a switch, leading to another to respond to the changes at his workstation and so on and so forth. So they're all just... That's why all the lights are like...
That's really cool.
Yeah, so nobody knows what's going on. You know what I mean? That's like Kyle just going over to the lights and just go... Flip it on and off.
I have to know.
Kyle, the original cut of this movie ran for 3 hours and 12 minutes.
Once again, that's another thing of Ridley Scott and James Cameron. I think, oh my gosh, once again, I'm going back to James Cameron. I'm going back to these two creators specifically. They, the recent, like, his rough cut of the new Avatar 3 was, I think it was 5.5 hours long, and he wants to do all the CG before he cuts any scene at all. Like, you are insane. Don't do that. It's insane, man.
A closer look at the alien eggs in the scene right before the facehugger reveals that slime on the eggs is dripping from bottom to top. So Ridley Scott did this intentionally by shooting with the egg hanging from the ceiling and the camera upside down.
Kind of creates a sense of unease. There's also kind of like the, I think the ship too, because it has that layer of fog right above it too. Like, how are they being kept in their kind of like, I want to say almost like in the state of neutrality, basically like that, of almost being kept in hibernation in a way.
Right.
Really cool stuff there too. Technology, sci-fi stuff.
According to Sir Ian Holm, Ash's head contained spaghetti, cheap caviar, and onion rings.
Cheap caviar.
Sounds like a good time to me. Let's have lunch.
Exactly, right? Yeah,
Yafat Kodo, who played Parker, actually picked fights with Bolaj Badego, who played the alien, in order to help his on-screen hatred of the creature. Guess who... Balaji, sorry, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm just going to call him BB. But Balaji Badejo beat Peter Mayhew to the part of the alien. Mayhew had previously played a different alien, the Wookiee, Chewbacca, in Star Wars: A New Hope.
Huh, yeah, Peter Mayhew would have been an interesting...
Can you see the alien screaming?
What if the xenomorph was like 9 feet tall? That's kind of
I mean, but they were both pretty tall. So
yeah, they were both kind of big guys.
And I met Peter Mayhew before he died, and he's dude. He was tall. He was awesome.
Oh yeah, all kinds. He was a good person.
Yes, he was. He was great. Just sit there and talk to you. So, copywriter Barbara Gibbs came up with the famed tagline: "In space, no one can hear you scream." The engines of the Narcissus coming to life was created by having water pour out of showers with strong arc lights around it. This gave the illusion that it was plasma. The slime used on the alien was KY jelly.
All right, I'm going here. Sigourney Weaver's father, Sylvester Weaver, created Your Show of Shows, which launched the careers of many comedians, notably Mel Brooks. John Hurt worked with Brooks several times the next decade and appeared in The Elephant Man, History of the World Part 1, Spaceballs, which itself parodied his role in the film. So cool stuff there. Small world moment there. Yeah. When Ripley is trying to establish radio contact with the Earth, she says the Nostromo is out of the Solomons. The fictional area of space she's referring to is reference to the real-life Solomon Islands in the Pacific Ocean, which are far from civilization. The Nostromo itself is far away from Earth civilization in this film. So, cool little fact there. Going to the spoiler section of our trivia items here. So, if you haven't seen the film, what are you doing here? Obviously, especially in part 2. But here's where we have more explicit spoilers of the film going on, which I'm sure we said spoilers already. Let's hear. The movie was originally scripted with the end with Ridley escaping the Nostromo in her shuttle and the alien dying on board the Nostromo. Sir Ridley Scott thought this ending was too simplistic, so he negotiated with the studio for an additional $500,000 budget and a week of filming to add a fourth act to the movie, showing how the alien had stowed away on board the shuttle. Scott initially envisioned a very dark ending where Ridley tries to flush the alien out, but the creature climbs back into the shuttle. Ripley harpoons it, but it makes no difference. It runs towards her, slams through her mask, and rips her head off. Oh my gosh.
That's a scene I want to see.
It would then then sit in her chair and start mimicking Captain Dallas's voice saying, "I'm signing off. Hopefully the network will pick me up." The 20th Century Fox wasn't too pleased with the thing, according to Scott, while pitching the idea over the phone. There was a long and uncomfortable silence. Within 14 hours, a studio executive arrived, threatening to fire him on the spot unless he changed the meaning where the alien would die. Scott later admitted that allowing Ripley to leave was the better ending. And
because it spurred all the sequels.
Exactly. You couldn't have all the sequels about that. Well, yeah, you could, but you would lose Sigourney Weaver, at which point, why make a movie?
Right.
Okay, another, the rumor is that the cast, okay, we already covered that one. Fun fact about the Ash's blood is colored water. Milk was not used for the actual, spewing of the blood scene when they murder Ash there. It was just used for, his, body shot scene where he was like a corpse. Let's see, Ash blood is colored water. Milk was not used as it would have spoiled too quickly under the hot city lights. Milk was used though for the close-up spots of his innards and the pasta and the glass marbles that made up his innards. So cool stuff there. Walter here and David Giler's most significant contribution to the script was to make Ash an android, although Dan O'Brien was been reluctant to acknowledge any positive changes by Hill or Giler. Ronald Shusett has described the addition as a significant improvement to the plot. I would agree. Ash's character kind of adds the I think the corporate mischief part of the film that the kind of adds a little political commentary of the film overall. Or if it was just an alien movie, it would have been a little bit more too straightforward and just kind of disposable as many other monster movies back then for. At that point, just make the monster a beach ball and call it a day. Call back to the part one. Next up, for Parker's death, a fiberglass cast of Yabet Cody's head was made, and then was filled with pig brains. The forehead was made of wax, and so that the alien teeth could penetrate easily. Barbed hooks were fastened to the end of the teeth to make sure it broke the wax surface effectively. So that barbed teeth thing then became later kind of like a visual motif of the alien, specifically having those really like almost chromed out teeth that kind of extruded. I remember specifically probably the best shots of that were in I think it was Alien 3, where she's on the planet and then almost gets very close to Sigourney Weaver's face.
Yeah, it comes out even.
Yeah, but you can see those.
You see her like this.
Yeah, those bright barbed wire teeth are so visually distinctive as well, part of kind of the xenomorph silhouette, as it were. So really cool there.
Roger Dickon, who designed and operated the Facehugger and the Chestburster, had originally wanted the latter, which is the Chestburster, to pull itself out of Kane's torso with its own little hands. Peekaboo, peekaboo, pull itself out. There was a lawsuit by A.E. Van Voigt claiming plagiarism of his 1939 story Discord in Scarlet, which he had also incorporated in the 1950 novel Voyage of the Space Beagle, and it was settled out of court. So that means it might have been a
little bit more truth to it, or they just didn't want to hassle with it.
Yeah. The inside of the alien eggs, as seen by Kane, was composed of real organic materials. So Ridley Scott used fresh cattle hearts and stomachs that were obtained from a local butchery. The egg tube of the facehugger was sheep intestines. The design team tried several things, but found out that organic materials simply provided the desired wet and gooey look that they were hoping for.
Yeah, wet, gooey, and also you get because we're going to talk to you guys, you get kind of that rotted flesh look, which is disturbing in any context you ever see it in, regardless if it's human or not. So it's it just creates that feeling of ugh, I don't even want to be 100 feet near that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ridley Scott cites 3 movies as the shaping influence of his movies. Kyle, can you name them?
There's 3 big influences of the movies.
For this movie.
For this movie. I have no idea what this movie would actually be. Go for it.
Star Wars: A New Hope, 2001: Space Odyssey, and yes, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow. Okay.
All right, Kyle, don't laugh at this one. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm not going to laugh. I'm stone-faced right now.
All right. Shredded condoms were used to create tendons of the beast's ferocious jaws.
That is very creative, interesting. Not smiling, guys. I'm not smiling. I'm stone faced.
He's trying.
I'm really trying not to smile at the idea of shredded condoms used to make a mouth. But that is very funny.
I laughed.
It's too late.
All right, Kyle. Do you agree with this statement? Entertainment Weekly voted this as the 3rd scariest movie of all time.
So it's 2 and 1.
No.
3rd scariest movie of all time. There are definitely movies that I find more terrifying than Alien. I think Alien is entertaining to watch as not a horror movie. So no, I'm just not going to say that at all.
I would have to disagree myself too.
Yeah.
What would you say was the scariest movie you ever saw, Kyle?
Scariest movie I ever saw? Gosh, I really don't even really have one because I don't watch movies that terrify me.
You talking about Strange Brew?
Yeah, Strange Brew. Just it haunts my dreams every night. Every night. I'm like, why? Gotta change that movie. You know.
But the chest bursting scene was considered the second scariest movie moment of all time on Bravo's The 100 Scariest Movie Moments.
Mm-hmm. Jimbo, what's your most horrifying movie you watched in your life?
The Fog.
The
John
Fog.
Carpenter's The Fog.
Oh, The Fog.
I'm telling you, man. Ever since I was a kid, when those pirates came into that church, dude, at the end, and the fog rolled in, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of movies that actually make me feel like really uneasy and terrified. If I think about it later in the podcast, I'll just blurt it out. That's what I always do.
Maybe I'll ask that on the next Real Talk that we're doing in a couple weeks.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, that gives you time, Matt. Maybe you'll be ready, Kyle.
To kind of like, yeah.
Okay. So Ridley Scott stated that in casting the role of Ripley, it ultimately came down to Sigourney Weaver and Meryl Streep. The funny thing is, Meryl Streep and Sigourney Weaver were actually college roommates at Yale.
Yeah.
Or college mates. I don't know if they were roommates. Ultimately, Weaver was offered the job because Streep was mourning the death of her partner, John Cazale, at the time of casting. And I believe we had talked about this earlier.
Yeah. Same thing. I feel like
I'm in deja vu. Maybe this is Aliens. I don't know.
Yeah, but also, like, once again, yes, I would absolutely have loved to have seen the Meryl Streep version of this film in the alternate universe. I feel like it would have been a very different film, but I still would have loved to seen it.
No, and that should be the one where the alien rips the head off.
That would have been the cut where that happened. For sure.
Right.
They wouldn't have argued that.
And H.R. Geiger's original illustration that inspired the look of the alien, the creature had eyes. For this movie, Geiger insisted that the creature have no eyes, thus giving the bleak appearance of cold and emotionless beast that hunts by smell.
Just get those little like spindly eyes and just
get the googly eyes.
Yeah, googly eyes, and you just staple those on, and all of a sudden it's the most non-horrifying creature in the world. It just looks like a Dumbo just character of like, why is his head so long? It makes no sense.
As a child, Veronica Cartwright had appeared in The Birds opposite Doodles Weaver, which was Sigourney Weaver's uncle.
The Birds.
Yeah, let's see here. The scene with Alien exploding from the stomach was a reference that came to Dan O'Brien because he struggled with stomach problems. I hear you, brother. I hear you. The large space jockey sculpture was designed and painted by H.R. Geiger, who was disappointed he couldn't put any finishing touches on it by the time filming came about for the scene. Also, the space jockey prop was burned and destroyed by a burning cigarette left on the model. The unfortunate event was covered by local television news station that evening. Man, that's sad, dude.
Yeah, that's rough.
Kyle would want that in his backyard.
No.
As a child, Veronica Cartwright appeared in The Birds opposite Doodles Weaver. I think I just said that.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing that paper out of here. Get out of here.
We're just like parrots, just keep telling you the same thing over and over and over again. Here, let me take this one right here. The shot where the xenomorph tail goes through Lambert's legs and upper back was actually taken from the scene in which Brett was killed. The pants and the boots don't fit what Veronica Cartwright's character is wearing in that scene, where she encounters alien. Originally, her character was to crawl away from the alien and essentially like die from fright hiding in a locker, but this was never shot. And later on, it's been long theorized in fan speculation that the tail essentially kind of killed her in like a sexually provocative way, rather, and that there was I think it was the game Alien Isolation and the DLC Crew Expendable that did work to kind of like almost canonize that fan speculation of that the xenomorph used his tail.
Were those games approved by Ridley Scott? Not Ridley Scott.
Not to any significant degree. Fox Corporation. So Fox Corporation, it's a loose canon thing. It's not like Ridley Scott had any part of the games at all, really. But I know the game Aliens Colonial Marines, which was a terrible, terrible game, actually did get approval. It was like, this is they made a very big point in the marketing, like this is Alien canon now, according to the Fox Corporation, that this is important to the movies and all kind of stuff too. And Alien Colonial Marines had a terrible story, and Alien actually had a good story that focuses around Sigourney Weaver's character's daughter and trying to find her character. Okay, interesting stuff there. And so it's a kind of thing where like the Crew Expendable DLC does a lot of work to kind of like confirm what fans believed at the time, and kind of like build on those kind of topics a little bit in a fun way that I find really cool. So
to preserve the shock value of the alien's appearance, no production images of it were released, not even to the author Alan Dean Foster when he wrote the novelization. Oh, wow. It's just like, here.
Yeah, whatever.
In the chest bursting scene, Veronica Cartwright screams when blood splatters on her. Her screaming and horrified reaction were genuine, just as the shocked responses of other cast members. They purposely weren't told how much blood would come out and which way it would splatter on purpose, knowing that they would have the best response if they didn't know what to expect. Jeez. You better hope you get that done in right one take, dude, because if you did that to me, it's...
That's where you have to like bring in all the cameras you can possible, because we have to film it from every angle possible, otherwise we'd lose everything in the shot. Brett's death was storyboarded by Sir Ridley Scott, originally for the alien to use his inner mouth to take his heart out of his chest, harkening back to the image of the space jockey and having its innards kind of like exploded out.
Yes.
The alien would then leave Brett, where he would be found by Parker and Ripley, who's cradled his body. Scott abandoned this idea due to it being similar to the death of the Chessers scene, and the scene that now plays was made up by the day it was shot. In the scene as filmed, the alien would grab Brett's head so tightly in his hands that blood started pouring out from it as screams for Parker and Ripley. However, the studio balked the amount of blood, so at finishing, there's only one brief shot of the alien breaking Brett's skull with its jaw and pushing through the ground before it drags him towards the air ducts with the cat watching. The director restores the shot where Parker and Ripley come in and see Brett being dragged off for a brief moment.
Right.
Yeah. The xenomorph in the film for the theatrical cut only has 4 minutes of screen time and doesn't make its first appearance until about an hour into the film.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott has recently said that the Blade Runner movies share a universe with the Alien film franchise, which of course shares a universe with Prometheus. Even beyond that, the Alien and Predator franchises share a universe, as well as shown in the Alien vs. Predator movies. In total, this means that 5 different movie franchises, Blade Runner, which is 2 movies, Alien, 4 movies, Prometheus, 2 movies, and Predator, 4 movies, and Alien vs. Predator, 2 movies, share a universe. This also means that there are a total of 14 movies of this franchise.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, those franchises all, like, they only have the equivalent of, like, nods to each other in some small ways that never really go too far in the thing. Like there's very few nods of, like, Alien. Like, I think Prometheus and Alien Covenants have, like, a couple nods to Blade Runner, and then Blade Runner 2049 had a couple nods to Alien going on. And besides that, there's really no, like, explicit connection in those universes. Like, a Xenomorph isn't going to show up in the next Blade Runner 3 that's going to come out in like 3 years.
When I watch it happen.
Exactly.
Like an end scene or something.
And it would be so bad for the movie. That'd be a terrible movie. They did that. Originally, going back to my fact fail to cure for this page. Originally, there was no subplot of the company betraying the crew. When David Giler and Walter Hill rewrote this first draft by Dan O'Brien and Ronald Shusett, they wanted to find ways to make the plot more interesting. They initially added the third act twist, where the ship's CPU had a hidden directive. Mother was supposed to allow the facehugged Kane into the ship, despite Ripley's objections. Although the company had programmed Mother to reroute the Nostromo and investigate the origin of the species, the computer functioned under its own special protocol. As Mother states in the final scene, she was not keen on betraying the crew, but she took a neutral place by allowing the creature to enter the ship, gestate, and evolve. When Ripley scolds Mother, the CPU retorts that her allegiance lies only to science. The data for this key product would be fascinating for the scientific world. The producers and writer finally realized that this revelation would be too reminiscent of HAL 9000 in the film 2001: A Space Odyssey. So they kept Mother as a CPU, but incorporated Ash as the 7th and final character for the Nostromo crew, who was always intended to be a spy. He was written as an android, and much of his attitude echoes that of the scrapped Mother storyline. He opens the hatch to allow the parasite into the ship, despite the quarantine rules. In the director's cut, he monitors stain inside Kane, but lets it incubate. He also wants to keep the dead facehugger for further studies, and he repeatedly expresses his wonder at the new fascinating species. Ash even had extra dialogue about the key products found in space and orders by the company, but Ridley Scott ultimately decided to streamline the death scene of him, making it more foreboding for the remaining crew. So, interesting stuff there, and I think that's a brilliant thing to add to that story. Otherwise, it would have been a much more straightforward film that people wouldn't be talking about today.
Right. So Ridley Scott made sure that Bolaji Badejo did not take tea or lunch breaks with the rest of the cast so that their fear of the alien would be more genuine. Also, this is Bolaji Badejo's only acting role. He vanished into anonymity after this.
Oh, wow.
Also, he was approximately 4 months on this movie. And then also, he regretted that no one can recognize him as the alien in the movie, but thinking back on Boris Karloff, Sir Christopher Lee, or other successful actors who began their careers by playing grotesque monsters, he added, "The fact that I played the part of the alien, for me, that's good enough. Legally, I'll be given the opportunity of doing a follow-up, if there is one." Although he was training for a career on graphic design and commercial art, he exclaims, "Not if a film comes along." So, I don't know. Did he play the alien in the other movies?
I haven't seen that much personally, so I know they changed the alien's design, so they didn't have to pay the designer, not really Scott, the Xenomorph designer. What's his name? shoot. Whatever.
all right.
Yeah, but the original artist who created Xenomorph, they made it like a legally distinct version for the sequels, so they can still use the alien name, but not have to pay the original creator.
One of the working titles for this film was "They Bite." At the end of this movie, wait for the credits, turn the volume up, and you can hear the sound of a pod opening. Did you stick around for the credits, Scott?
No, I did not listen to the credits of that.
Sir Ridley Scott was so bored while waiting for the budget to be determined on this movie that in his spare time, he just storyboarded the entire movie and then sent it to the studio, where they were so impressed with this vision that they doubled the budget.
Wow, that's incredible.
When she was interviewed about Sir John Hurt following his death on January 25th, 2017, Sigourney Weaver stated that she had thought Sir John Hurt was really dying when they filmed the chest-bursting scene and did not realize that he was acting when they filmed the sequence, and that the cast was not acting when the alien came out of Sir John Hurt's chest and runs off the table.
Actually thought like a real accident had occurred there for sure. Yeah, H.R. Geiger was the name I was trying to think of.
Of course, the famous chest-burster scene was spoofed in Spaceballs. In that scene, Sir John Hurt, as Kane, and the Nostromo crew are seen eating and having a laugh over one of the crew members' joke. Hurt starts choking. The alien bursts out of his chest, and Hurt says, "Oh no, not again!" And the alien performs, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my dawn. Hello, my ragtime gal." From One Frog Evening in 1955.
Spaceballs is so good.
Yeah, the space jockey's body was painted with sepia glaze and then coated with frayed rubber latex. Originally, only 6 eggs were to be present in the egg silo under the derelict ship, but Ridley Scott stepped in and demanded that many more were required. I think we said, 150 eggs, if I remember from the last time.
Roughly around there, yeah.
Ridley suggested for the alien that they get strapped 2 kids to an adult and have them wrapped in rubber. Also, they proposed trying a robotic alien, but safety was an issue with that.
Oh my gosh. What would we do for a monster? Just tie 2 kids together. Ridley, maybe you're the monster, actually.
Wow. Dan O'Brien and H.R. Geiger were heavily inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft and the concept of alien, which you can tell.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mirrors were used to make the Nostromo's corridors look bigger. Carlo Rambaldi's original alien face is now on display in the Smithsonian. Road trip, Kyle. We should go check it out.
Let's go right now.
This wasn't the first time Cartwright had been stranded in the black. Veronica Cartwright's sister is Angela Cartwright. She was Penny Robinson on Lost in Space. The first R-rated movie to receive a tie-in series of toys marketed towards children. Which, Kyle, when I sent you those pictures the other day, I was walking around that store and I found Ripley, Ash, and Kane action figures, which I almost had to buy.
Still a ton of alien merchandise you can get today, and like I think actually I have some. That's
of course
really
you
cool.
do.
Yeah.
In order to heighten the senses of claustrophobia, the actors and actress, director Sir Ridley Scott had the walls of the sets pushed slightly closer and closer in each day.
Awesome.
Can you imagine?
That sense of foreboding.
I could have swore I ran down this corridor perfectly fine.
It's really good.
Kyle has to run sideways through there now. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. I think like making people's outfits tighter and tighter every single day so they just freak out and think they're getting away.
In 2019, Disney acquired 21st Century Fox for $71.3 billion, thus acquiring the Alien, Predator, Avatar, X-Men, and Planet of the Apes franchises along with their parent studio. So Planet of the Apes is at Disney now. Wow.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's weird.
It's sad.
Consequently, this unofficially makes the franchise ultimately connected to the Star Wars franchise, which Disney acquired for $4 billion in 2012. Wow! So Disney owns everything. We have already established that,
which makes the Alien Queen a Disney princess now too, as well.
This is true. And Sigourney Weaver.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Tommy Lee Jones was met by Walter Hill to play Dallas, who had read the script twice and exclaimed he wanted to play the monster as it was the only part that grabbed him. So Tommy Lee Jones almost was the monster.
Would have been
the monster. The only thing would have been Barrow would be Al Pacino.
Al Pacino.
You screaming at me? You screaming at me?
That's Ralph De Niro.
Oh, is it?
That's Ralph De Niro. Yeah.
What was Al Pacino?
You're thinking of Taxi Driver. Al Pacino did the I'm Walking Here, I think. Either that where the taxi driver almost hit him, and she's like, I'm walking here. I think he did that.
Either one.
I made that reference like several times this morning. It's probably what you're thinking of it. Yeah.
And here's a spoiler: Ash never eats. The only thing he consumes is some milky white fluid. Although he is seen reaching for the box of cereal at one point, he's later revealed to be an android and white liquid for blood. Kyle, do you have any more notes?
No, I'm through my notes, Jimbo. We have done the podcast. We have talked about
Kyle,
to death.
Now that part 2 is over, what do you think of Alien?
This is a 10 out of 10 movie, Jimbo. I'm not even gonna I'm gonna keep gushing about it. It's a dang near perfect film in my eyes.
Do you think it's better than Aliens?
Yes, wholeheartedly.
Really?
Yeah. In the same way, I think Terminator 1 is better than Terminator 2. Yes, I think it's a better movie. I think it's a different kind of movie, though, because, like, Alien is a horror movie. Aliens is a war movie. It's
a Western.
It's an action war movie. Same thing in Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Terminator horror movie, Terminator 2, action movie, all together. Like, cool
but the
stuff.
Terminator ended up being the good guy in 2.
Exactly.
The alien's not the good guy in part 2.
Yeah, but there's a lot more good guys with guns in Alien 2. So Alien, though, is one of the most, like, top tier echelon film for me and that kind of thing. If I ever had a top 10 list that didn't change every other day, Alien would be in it for sure. You know, it's kind of a perfect film in my eyes in so many ways. So I really do love it to death. I also love Aliens, the sequels too, but not as much. Yeah, this is a top tier film in my eye. It's a horror classic. It's a science fiction masterpiece, and it's worth any cinema fan to go watch it at least once or twice in your life. For me, though, it's a staple film where, like, I'm going to watch it many times every year for the rest of my life. So I think it's a great film. Jimbo, how do you feel about Alien?
I'm not going to give it a 10. I would probably put it down at the probably 8 range. It's just, it's very slow at the beginning. There's a lot of build up, and then you always see them go into that one room with just like a bunch of computer parts, and they're like typing in questions. And you're like, who is answering this? And of course, you kind of find out it's Mother, but you're like, is this a living computer system or is it tied back to Earth? You don't know what's going on here, but then it has to be because they're like, hey, this is your objective and all that. He's getting Ash is getting the information back from Earth, or are they just directly inputting that into his brain? You don't really know. A very, very good performance by Sigourney Weaver. It was very well done with the alien, how they used the shadows and the lighting, especially the flickering of the lights and all that. Now the ending, dude, where she shuts him out. Where she shuts him out the thing and then turns on the afterburners or whatever. He goes flying. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's. I know you're a big sci-fi guy, so that's one of the reasons you came.
I'm a shooter for the genre,
right? So I know I usually value your opinion on that. But yeah, to me, it's probably about an 8 out of 10. It's not. It's not the best in the world, but it's certainly not the least. I'll probably watch it a couple more times. Yeah.
I have one last digression I just want to get into a little bit. I love the aesthetics of this film and other sci-fi film where it has like. Some people call it retro sci-fi now, of like the idea of predicting the future, the way it was like covered in buttons and mechanical and industrial parts that kind of evoke like an industrial building today or something like that too, of machineries, constant clicking, clacking, buttons like that. And I hate modern sci-fi movies, especially like Bradley Scott and Prometheus again, where everything's like a giant touchscreen. Everything's like the idea of how a smartphone works, but made large for a computer chip. And I always hated that idea because I think like the thing that makes Alien 1 and Aliens 2 and other sci-fi films and that kind of impressive, like, I like the idea that everything has to be made, like, industrial and that kind of, like, rugged and like, resilient, is because that's the only thing that could possibly survive in space travel, actually. The idea of having, like, your computer touchscreen in space just seems ridiculous because everything breaks all the time, glass shatters, nothing's really that solid, and having touchscreens is not actually that convenient to work on. But having, like, rugged buttons to push on is so cool in a sci-fi aesthetic that I wish more films kind of went back to, because, like, it's not modern sci-fi to me. Modern sci-fi feels like a joke to me, whereas like Aliens and Alien seem more real to me as a sci-fi idea, and they would have like a few better monitors to get displayed information, but in reality you still need that kind of like rugged, here's a giant plastic button you got to just slap on to get to work, because that's how machines have to work in space, because you need something that's very, very reliable. Right. You never want a dumb touchscreen that'll mess up and freeze on you for 5 seconds because you're in space where you could die in a moment.
Right.
So I always love that aesthetic, and hopefully new sci-fi films in the future will kind of take that on, because I think that's what they're kind of doing in Alien, is that they're trying to think of like, okay, what's a place we work at, like when we worked at Ford or where I work now, what are the places like how they would look up 300 years in the future, where everything now is like, how would a smartphone look in 30 years in terms of aesthetics? And I hope we can find more ways of getting back to that industrial kind of aesthetic of a future industrial kind of look to it. And I think that future is having like machines built that humans don't interfere with at all, like in a kind of cool way. So I don't know. It was a small digression to the point we're ending the podcast now, and I had to make that point because it just occurred to me like I want to talk about that real quick. Sorry, but keep going forward.
Let the record state that Kyle would rather have a
retro sci-fi
a regular keyboard instead of a touch keyboard.
Exactly, all the time.
Just because you like the clicky.
Yeah, I want the clicky-clacky world of industrial sci-fi. Yeah.
All right, so there you have it. That concludes our Alien podcast.
Part 2.
No, not Alien Part 2. Alien.
Oh, yeah, Alien.
Part 2.
Yeah. Jimbo.
So be on the lookout next week. We have an amazing movie review that we've actually already done.
The best.
It's called Lady in the Lake. It is a movie. It's in black and white, I think from 1946, if I remember, Kyle. Mm-hmm. And it's all shot in the first person. It is fantastic. Me and Kyle both really like it. I think it's there's only a few movies shot like that, so be on the lookout for that. Yeah. So, Kyle, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And cut.